Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Yesterday, I did a video about about an incident that happened with me. This is during the times when I was I don't know, probably like 18, 19 years old, probably like 19. Uh, Between me and my at the time my enemy's neighborhood, and you know how they came looking for me and shit. So I did the video, and then I get a message from somebody who I've known my whole life, and she was telling me that she watched the video and that get out of there. She watched the video and that how shit is still happening right now between the two neighborhoods. And the two neighborhoods that I'm talking about is Redondo, Northside Redondo, and Lawndale. Okay, right there in the South Bay Harbor area. So she was just telling me that people's kids are still getting shot. People that I know, they're kids now, or yeah, I guess it would be their kids and their nephews and shit like that are still getting shot by these two neighbors are still going at it. And so it tripped me out that after all these years it's still going on. And the reason it trips me out is because that beef between these two neighborhoods started went from my generation. And so I was thinking about it, and I says, well, maybe I'll do a video on this issue, and I can't stop these fucking kids from doing what they do. I'm not here to tell kids not to get into gangs. I'm not here to do all that shit. They ain't gonna listen to you anyway. I can't stop these fucking kids from doing what they're doing because nobody can stop me and the people that was with me from doing what we were doing. We didn't listen. But what I can tell you or say to them is most of you motherfucking kids that are out there right now in that area don't even know what the fuck it is you're fighting over. You know what I mean? You can ask them young motherfuckers out there right now, what's the reason that you have beef with these guys for? Their neighbors are right next to each other. The two cities are butt up against each other right there on Inglewood Avenue and Redondo Beach Boulevard, or Artesia. But they couldn't tell you what the fucking problem is or how this shit started. So I'll give them a little history on how stupid it was, how this whole fucking thing started. Because it started with people from my generation, and it started with somebody that I knew, and his fucking mistake, and how that should have been taken care of at that time. When I was younger, you know, my family, they're from Redondo, but I did have a couple family members from Lawndale. But there was certain families right there in Redondo. Redondo was mainly families, and so was Lawndale. But the thing was, is there was some people that were from Redondo that had brothers and sisters from Lawndale, and vice versa, whatever. There was four families that I could say where there was a mix. But these families made up the majority of the fucking neighborhood. So there was my family, which is the Cruz family. My father and all my family members were my brother, my mother, my father, my grandmother. Everybody was from that neighborhood. But there was me and my cousin who was from my neighborhood, who was from Lawndale. Then there was the Bonte family. They also had a bunch of brothers that were from Redondo, but they also had a brother from Lawndale. You had the Abden family. One brother was from Redondo, the other brother was from Lawndale. And you have like the Garcia family, which is my cousins. They were all from Redondo, but again, their family members were from Redondo and Lawndale. Me and my cousin from Lawndale. So the Garcias, there was like 9 of them, brothers and sisters. So we all grew up together. I grew up around all these people. When I was a kid, the guys from Lawndale would hang out at my house. I lived in Lawndale at that time. They would hang out at my house. There was certain people that would come over there, but they were my dad's friends. Well, because their brothers were my dad's homeboys. So they would be at my house. There was no issues. Now, before the 80s, yeah, there might have been like fights and shit here and there, but that's just men being men or boys being boys, whatever, you know. Guys get drinking, hanging out. Somebody says the wrong thing. Next thing you know, a couple guys get into a fucking fight, and that's what it is, you know what I mean? But that can happen to anybody, you know. It doesn't have to be a gang thing. It's just men being men or boys being boys, whatever you want to say. But there was really no issue because if there was issue, there would never have been dudes at my house from that neighborhood when I was a kid. But I used to be outside playing right there in the alley when my dad's out there with the dudes from Lawndale and the dudes from Redondo, hanging out, drinking beer, listening to the music, talking about their old cars and shit like that. Or we would be at their houses. And so we all were around each other. These two neighborhoods were around each other all the time. In the 80s, in the early 80s, there's pictures. I don't have them. I think my dad has them. In fact, I know he has them. There's pictures of us. Well, I'll say them. I'm in the pictures too, but I was a kid. There's pictures of those two neighborhoods together at Memorial Park in Hawthorne, right there off of Prairie and what's it, El Segundo, at the handball courts. Because in the summertime, we would all the families in these two neighborhoods would get together, and they would have like a big barbecue, like a potluck type barbecue, and all the men would play handball. There was handball courts there at that time at Memorial Park, and they would get together and play handball. So there's pictures of all these guys together. There was no problems. The problem started in, I want to say 1988. It was 88, 89. It was just, I want to say a month, less than a month from when I got jumped into my neighborhood. For 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 no reason whatsoever. Okay, you got to understand that these are two different neighborhoods, but they're all intermingled with each other because of these families. Most of these dudes from Redondo were family members or were really close. I mean, they all went to fucking elementary school together. They all grew up together, elementary school, junior high school, high school. You know, so even if you weren't blood related, you were still considered family. Just like the person that messaged me and told me about what's going on still. She's not blood related to me, her or her brother. Her brother's from Redondo. She's not related to me by blood. Her father's not related to me by blood, or her mother. But I always looked at them, her father as an uncle and her mother as an aunt, and them as like my cousins. You know what I mean? Me and her brother would call each other cousins. We weren't blood related, but I'm older than them. I'm older than her brother maybe by a year, and I'm older than her maybe by 4 years, 5 years. But so I've known them the whole life. And it's not just them. There's other females and males from that neighborhood that were not my family, but I grew up with them. I knew them all, my whole life, or their whole lives, because I'm a year or two older than most of them. And that's the same thing with their parents. Their parents were not blood related to me, but I've known them my whole life, so they were considered like uncles and aunts to me. So it was 88, 89. Once a guy from Lawndale decided that he, for no fucking reason whatsoever, just to do it because there was no issues between the two neighborhoods, he decided that he was going to shoot one of them guys for no reason, and that's what happened. They pulled up on the I can't remember where it was at. I just know that they were in a van. He opened the van door. He jammed the guy up. Dude said he was from Redondo, and he shot him. He didn't kill him, but he shot him. Now, looking at it from now, 35 years later, after all the people that have been killed over that one issue, and what's still going on over there with them guys now, I think about it. I said, man, that shit should have been taken care of back then with him, because he was not part of the families. He was an outsider. He was from the neighborhood, but he was an outsider. He wasn't even a Chicano. He wasn't Mexican. He wasn't Chicano. He was an outsider. We'll consider him an other. He was from the neighborhood, but he didn't have the family tie like everybody else, like a lot of other guys did. And neither did the other guys that were with him in the van. So that shit should have been taken care of right there. But since he didn't have no family ties, they didn't. Nothing was really done about it. If he was one of the family members of one of the families, then I think that things would have been different. Like, say for instance, if it was me that was the one who did that, I think things would have been different. But he was an outsider. His family had no ties with the rest of the families. Again, he wasn't even a fucking Chicano. He was another. And so, yeah, so he shot the dude, and that's what started the whole thing. Before that, there was really no issue between the two neighborhoods. That one guy, and I've known that guy since elementary school. He got into the neighborhood just before I did, him and his cousin. But I'd known that guy since elementary school and junior high school. After junior high school, he got into the neighborhood. A couple months later, I got into it. And so his fucking mistake that he made 35 years ago, out of his own stupidity, for no reason, just did it to do it, shot that guy, and it wasn't taken care of then, which it should have been taken care of then. You see what I mean? But again, he was not part of any of the families. So that's why nothing was really done about it. All that was done is the guys from Redondo said, fuck it. And they started doing their thing. Now you gotta understand, we were all the kids of the older guys. All the older guys were getting along. They were still fucking getting along. Even after that shit happened, all the older guys, my dad's age, they didn't get involved in that shit. They still got along with each other. My dad and his homeboys, and whether they're from Redondo or Orlando, it didn't really matter. They were still friends. They've been friends for years. They still were friends. It didn't stop them from being friends. It didn't stop nothing. It was the young guys, our age, that once that happened, they came back, started doing it, and it's just, now it's just back and forth. And it caused a big fucking problem because, like I said, I had a lot of family from the other neighborhood. And even some of my family members had turned against me and decided, well, you know what? We're to kill you too. You know what I mean? I had cousins they were out to get me just like anybody else. So, but it's all because of that one fucking guy and his mistake doing that shit for no reason. He was a fucking idiot. He caused he put that wedge between these two neighborhoods, which there was not one. There was never one there. Like I said, some of these guys would get into arguments, maybe talk shit to each other, but you got two different neighborhoods. Of course, one neighborhood thinks they're better than the other. Of course, it doesn't fucking matter. There's no neighborhood in LA or Harbor. It doesn't matter. That's better than the other one. They're all fucking neighborhoods. They're all gangs. It doesn't really matter. But of course, in your mind, when you're doing it, you think that you're better than the others, and you're not. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fucking neighborhoods. There's neighborhoods that think that, they're like superior. It's like, wait a minute, you got a bunch of fucking rats from your neighborhood too. You got a bunch of dropouts from your neighborhood too. You got motherfuckers from your neighborhood that might have been, chomos, rapists. You know what I mean? So there's no neighborhood in LA or California, whatever, is better than the other. It's all the same shit. You have the same kind of people in every single neighborhood. There's not one neighborhood with a clean fucking name ever any neighborhood. So, but it's just, when you're growing up in that shit, you want to think that you're better than them. 18th Street thinks they're better than Florence. 18th Street thinks they're better than Playboys. They're no ways better than nobody. You know what I mean? They all three of those neighborhoods have rats and dropouts and chomos and rapists. They all do. All of the neighborhoods, every fucking neighborhood in Southern California has those kind of people in them. None of them have a good name, a clear name. None. So it's just, but when you're growing up, that's what you think. You think your neighborhood's better than the other. But like I said, there was no beef between the two neighborhoods. It started because of that one person. And I tell you, he was a fucking he was a Tongan. He was a Tongan. He wasn't Mexican. He was a Tongan. That's all I'll say about him. I know the whole fucking story. I know what happened. I knew where it happened. I just can't remember exactly where it had happened, but I know what had happened because it was just I was around, but I wasn't from the neighborhood. I wasn't there, but I know what happened. So, well, that's just what I wanted to talk about in this video. Is like, you guys are still doing the same shit. She's telling me like, yeah, they shot so and so's son. They shot their house. They're going back and forth still. I'm like, damn. After all these fucking years, it's still the same shit. They're going back and forth, and again, these are people that are not affiliated with these families. Even though some these families are still around, these other younger motherfuckers are not affiliated with these families. And the funny fucking thing is that it's like a cycle that's just it's the same as when it was when I was younger because the girl who's she's talking about her dad and uncles are from Redondo, but she has an uncle from Lawndale. Her son is from Lawndale. Her husband is from Redondo, but he's doing life in prison. So it's the same shit. This all connected to one another. You know what I mean? Her family's mainly from Redondo, but she has family from Londo. Her husband's from Redondo. Her son's from. They're all intertwined with one another. They are. But these young motherfuckers that shoot up the house, they have nothing to do with the families. So they don't give a fuck. Like I said, if the shit was taken care of back then in 89, 88, whatever what year it was, maybe it wouldn't be the way it is now. I think about the fucking guys that I knew from both neighborhoods that have been killed. You know what I mean? Uh, and the guys that I know that are now doing life in fucking prison, and all from then on till now, even people I don't know. You know what I mean? All the fucking people that have died over this shit, over the mistake that one fucking guy made, because it was a fucking mistake. He shouldn't have fucking did it. It should have never have happened. It should have been settled right then and there. But again, because he was not part of the fucking families, it just started this whole fucking thing. So just know that the shit that you guys are still doing out there, shooting up each other's houses, shooting each other's kids and all that shit like that, it started over a fucking Tongan guy that decided that he was gonna go over there and shoot somebody for no fucking. Well, it wasn't decided. They were out there driving, cruising around, and they ran into it wasn't like he went and said, "I'm gonna go kill a guy from Redondo or whatever." They were cruising around. They were in that neighborhood, and he sees him, and he opened the door, and he asked him where he's from. He told me he's from Redondo, and he shot him. That was it. It wasn't like they went looking for him. They weren't out there gangbanging looking for him. I don't want people to think that they were out there gangbanging looking for him. That's how stupid it was too. He wasn't even out there gangbanging against them. He was just in their neighborhood and ran into the guy, and he just decided right then, fuck it, I'm just gonna shoot this fucking guy. When there was no problems, there might have been little fights here and there, you know what I mean? Like I said, no big deal. But there was nobody killing each other at that time. It was just, guys just fighting with each other, sometimes, you know what I mean? But that whole little that one fucking incident right there, 35 years later, is still fucking going on now. And the fucking thing is, the people that I know, that I grew up with, it's now happening to their kids. You know what I mean? It's happening to their kids now. Their kids got involved, and their kids are, from both these different neighborhoods and shit like that. And they're out there fucking still trying to kill one another. And like I said, I'm not here to fucking tell you not to do something. I don't give a fuck what you do, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? You And I'm not talking about the family part. I'm talking about people that don't know. These kids that I don't know. These ain't my kids. I don't give a fuck what happens to them. They could live, they could die, they could kill each other. I don't give a fuck. It has nothing to do with me. I'm still living my life, so I don't give a shit. But I just thought that it was important for me to tell you, since you don't know, because I know these motherfuckers don't know how this whole thing started. It started over one person's stupidity, a fucking Tongan dude. It started over his stupidity. And now our people don't get along and are still out there trying to kill one another and shooting up each other's houses and shooting each other's kids over a Tongan dude. Yes, he was from the neighborhood, but he's a Tongan dude. He started the whole fucking problem. That's what you guys are fighting over. An outsider had caused that fucking problem. And now, 35 years later, you guys are still doing the same shit to each other. And I don't know how the younger generation is now, the motherfuckers that are out there right now, if a lot of them are related to the families. I don't know. I don't go over there. I haven't been over there. I was there a couple weeks ago for a funeral, but I don't go out there that much. I have no business to be over there anyway. But I don't know how many of these young kids are part of these families. They're not part of my family. I know that. But as far as the other families, I don't know how many of them are part of the other families. But just wanted to throw it out there. That way, if any of them see it, you know what you're fucking fighting for. You know what I mean? What you're beefing with these guys for. You know now. It started with that, and now it's right here. But at one time, those two neighborhoods were close. They got along with each other. They hung out with one another. We were all family and friends, all of us. You know what I mean? We played handball. The families played handball together. They had picnics together. My birthdays, me and my brother's birthdays, and their kids' birthdays, we were all there. There was guys from Lawndale, guys from Redondo. They were all there, drinking beer together, giving their fucking money away to the kids for their birthday and a birthday card. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, me and my brother, shit, it was like a fucking mafia birthday or some shit. You know what I mean? Because there'd be all these fucking families there from both neighborhoods. All of them bringing a gift. All of them bringing a fucking a birthday card with money in it. Every year, me and my brother, because our birthdays were a few days apart from each other, so we had the same birth. We had our birthday party on the same day at a park, and we would fucking come up a few $100s from all the money that there was given, plus the gifts. These two fucking neighborhoods, these families all came together all the time. There was no fucking beef like that. It started from a fucking Tongan dude. And he caused all this shit. He caused these two fucking neighborhoods to have this beef. And it's still going on to this day. To this day, you motherfuckers are still doing the same shit. It ain't about winning or losing. Because like I said, I don't give a fuck what you guys do. I just wanted to put it out there so you know. Now, if these guys see this shit, now you know how this shit started, why you guys are doing it. I won't tell you the name of the motherfucker who started it. But believe me, when I tell you that's the story, I was fucking there. I know. It happened in my generation. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm innocent in any of this shit. Because like I said, this happened like a couple weeks before I got into the neighborhood. And once I got into the neighborhood, I was all in. The beef had already started. It started, a couple weeks before or a month before. So I was all in. Fuck it. So I was over there doing the same shit that these young motherfuckers are doing. The people can comment that know me from back then can say, yeah, He was over here doing that shit. You know what I mean? My name was in a lot of the shit that was going on over there. I was constantly over there because I was all in. I was like, fuck it, I'm from the neighborhood. And now we have beef with you guys. Even though some of them guys were my family. Even though some of them guys, like Scarecrow, was like my cousin. Me and he was beefing with each other. We grew up together. I knew the guy since I was a little kid. I knew him since he was born because I'm older than him. As soon as I got from the neighborhood, the beef was on. Fuck it, I'm in. Let's do it. And so we went to war with each other, with the families. So I'm not saying that I was innocent in the whole fucking thing because I'm not. I was out there fucking doing a lot of shit. You know, you look at the story I just told yesterday. That was between me and them. You know what I mean? So I'm not innocent in the whole thing. I was out there fucking pushing that line. But it would have never been that way if this other guy did not do that shit maybe a month before. We probably would have, at that time, we probably would have still been getting along with each other because, like I said, these guys were like my cousins. Most of them guys from that neighborhood were like my cousins, or they were my cousins, or aunts and uncles. You see what I mean? So I think that maybe if I was from the neighborhood at the time when he did that, well, then again, I don't know. I can't even say that because I was young and fucking stupid. I was out there. I was looking for trouble. So I can't say that things would have been different. You know, I mean, I was in the whole gang thing to be a gangbanger. You know what I mean? So if you ain't got nobody to gang bang against, well, then you're not a fucking gangbanger. You're just a gang member. You know what I mean? So I was a fucking gangbanger. I was out there doing my thing. You know what I mean? And since our neighborhoods were butted up against one another. You know, all we had to do is cross over the fucking boulevard. We're in their neighborhood and we go do our thing. And so, you know, like I said, I'm not gonna say like I'm innocent because I was out there in the '90s, in the late '80s and the '90s, doing my thing just like everybody else was at that time. Just like these little motherfuckers are right now. These kids that are out there doing it right now. But I know the story. I know how it all started. And anything that happened from that time on into the fucking '90s, I know because I was around. What happened after I left there, I don't know. I see that there's a lot of changes. You know what I mean? I see the guys from Lawndale were red. We never did that shit. You know what I mean? I don't know where the fuck that came from. You know, I'm not even associated with those fucking guys anymore. You know, I do still have a few guys that I know from the neighborhood that are my age that I still talk to. They don't live in the area no more. They moved. Some of them live in Arizona. One got deported. He lives in fucking. He lives in. It's not Turkey. Is it Turkey? He lives somewhere over in the Middle East area. And I still talk to a few people that are my age that are from Redondo. But the funny thing is that we don't give a fuck about that shit no more. Just like my dad and his homeboys didn't give a fuck when we were doing the things we were doing, they didn't stop being friends with each other. And we were beefing with each other. Now we're the older ones. And it's the same thing with us. Because I still during the 90s, when I was in my 20s, I would hang around with the guys from Redondo. I didn't beef with them guys. I would drink with them. I ain't gonna say their names, but we used to drink together. They'd hang at my house with my dad. But they'd hang at my dad's house. I'd be hanging out with them. We'd all be right there just hanging out. We didn't have no beef with each other. That shit got let go. We didn't have no beef with one another. And now, you know, as far as my family goes, and the people that I consider like family, there's no beef with us. I don't have no problem with them if I see them, and they ain't got no problem with me when they see me. You know what I mean? There's outsiders that are not part of the fucking family that I know they still have issue. They still see me and they don't want to be around me and shit like that. It's like, Dick, you're fucking almost 50 years old. You're still concerned with me. You know what I mean? What did I do? I didn't do nothing to you personally, you know. But that's on them. I don't give a fuck. They don't say nothing. You know, I can tell by the way they look at me. You know, but they don't say nothing. You know, man, I don't give a fuck. You know, But yeah, I just want to do a little video, and so that way you young fuckers know what you guys are fighting for. It was over something stupid. It was over a fucking outsider, and you're still doing it to this day. You know what I mean? In these two neighborhoods, they should have been getting along with one another because a lot of them are family with each other. And so, like I said, I'm not here to tell you guys to stop doing it. I don't give a fuck what you do. You can eat shit and die for all I care. I don't know you. You ain't my family. You ain't my kid. So I don't give a shit. I'm just telling you so that way you know what it is you're fighting for. It was over something stupid. Over something stupid and over an outsider that caused our people to stop getting along with one another. It was an outsider. So you can do what you want with that. But anyway, that's my story. Please like, share, subscribe. You got any questions, go ahead and get back at me. There might be people that come on here and, you know, they see it and they might want to talk their shit. If you're going to talk shit, just know I'm going to delete your shit. I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I ain't like these other fucking channels that'll argue with you and call you names and all that other dumb shit. You know what I mean? If you want to have a conversation with me, then you talk to me like a fucking man. If you're going to come out here and talk like a little kid or like a little girl and be disrespectful, then, you know, you need to fucking evaluate your life. If that's what you do, if you come on here and you leave stupid ass comments, you need to evaluate your fucking life. Evaluate your fucking manhood, is what you should be doing. You know what I mean? Because men don't talk like that. You know, get on the fucking internet and talk shit like that. You know what I mean? If you have a problem, send me a fucking message. You know what I mean? And we'll talk about it. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll be talking to you guys later.